Well, the holidays are a time for celebration, of course, but they can also be one of the most dangerous times out on the roads. Bruce Mazan from Mothers Against Drunk Driving joining us now with his story about how driving under the influence can really change lives. That's an understatement. Bruce, good morning. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
First of all, let's recap. People know MADD and all the great, incredible work they've done over the years, but tell us the goal of MADD during the holidays. What is it?
During the holidays specifically, we're trying to enhance awareness about the dangers of drinking and driving. We do this all year round, of course, but during the holidays, there's a significant uptick, increase in the number of DUI crashes, and we're really trying to create awareness about that and heighten safety.
It just seems it's frustrating over the years that this continues to happen. And during the holidays, you mentioned a lot of people who may not drink as much during the year, all of a sudden this is the time when they do it. That poses an extra danger.
That's right, it does. It poses an extra danger. People aren't really used to it. I don't think we do as good a job at assessing ourselves. We tend to feel emboldened and we just go for it, and it puts it at risk.
You've been personally impacted by a drunk driver, which is partly why you do this.
That's right.
Share your story if you could.
So in 2020, I was on my way to teach, of all things, a motorcycle safety class, and I was struck by a drunk driver.
Wow.
It was Sunday morning at 6:30 in the morning. I was on my motorcycle, and I stopped at a four-way stop in kind of a quiet neighborhood, Olivenhain, and I was T-boned once I entered the intersection.
Oh, goodness.
At 50 miles an hour by a Toyota 4Runner. So he had passed out when he went through that intersection, and I flew about 25 feet and landed on my back on the sidewalk. Now, fortunately, this happened right in front of a fire station. These firefighters were on the scene in 30 seconds. It saved my life.
Unbelievable. Only 5 years ago. So in terms of just, can you believe that it was, first of all, that long ago, but then not that long ago? When you look at these pictures, again, you got to thank your lucky stars. Like, my God, how did I survive that?
I do. I feel really very fortunate. I had many life-threatening injuries. I was really crushed from head to toe. I spent weeks in a coma. My entire rib cage was crushed. I still have 30 pieces of hardware in there that were used to reassemble it. My pelvis was shattered. Many internal injuries. I lost my spleen, a blood infection that nearly killed me. So it was really life-threatening all the way along, aside from just the initial injuries and the loss of my leg.
And when you look at yourself there, you mentioned the loss of your leg, and just when you see yourself in that wheelchair, in that picture, what does that picture, what goes through your mind? I mean, aside from that one, obviously, in your immediate recovery, but when you're in that chair, what were you thinking in that moment when you're like, my God, what has happened? Was there anger? Was there, why me? I mean, take me through those emotions.
Initially, there was rage, not just at my condition, but at this what I perceived as this monster who did this to me. But the story goes on, and we won't do this today, but I got to know this young man who struck me. I visited him while he was in prison, and he's a good man who made some of the same mistakes that many of us in society do. And he dug a hole, fell into it, and is trying to climb out against incredible odds. But it's a reminder that this can happen to anyone. And I've met, in the work I do, literally thousands of DUI offenders. No one thinks this is going to happen to them. And we're emboldened. We have a few drinks, and we don't self-assess. We normalize the behavior. In that moment, I was a few months into it, where you saw that picture. Really, for the first time I stood up with that prosthetic, I had hope. I looked down, and the line of sight is such that I felt complete, and I could imagine a way forward for the first time.
I can do this.
Yeah.
But that incredible cycle of emotions is what's fascinating to me.
It is. Yeah, it's a loss of identity.
It's unbelievable. You're now a victim volunteer with MADD, and when you tell the story, I can't imagine. The whole time when you're telling, I got goosebumps everywhere. I can't imagine when you're talking to folks, what's their reaction as a victim volunteer?
I try to make them realize, I try not to demonize this man. At first I did. I hated him. I wanted revenge, right? But I try to make people realize that this can happen to anybody. And the people that I meet, these officers that go out and arrest people, they're doctors, lawyers, or they're police officers in some cases. They're us, and I want them to realize that this could happen to just about anyone.
How did you get here, though, in 5 years, from a point of such anger to that forgiveness? Because I think it takes a special kind of person to be able to have that wherewithal to reach that point of enlightenment, if you will? I don't know what kind of word you use for it. I don't think a lot of people have that ability. How were you able to do that? Share that with folks.
I'm fascinated with the paradox of that. On the one hand, he needs to be severely punished for what he did. On the other hand...
Is he still in jail, by the way?
No, he's been out for about a little over 2 years.
Yeah, so he was in there 3.
Yeah, a little over 3 years. Okay. So there's a paradox. On the one hand, he needs to be severely punished for what he did to me. But on the other hand, if my #1 goal is that he doesn't hurt anyone else, it makes sense for him to thrive in society. That's what's best for society. And so if I can help elevate him out of that place of shame, it's logical. It makes sense to do this for me.
May I ask what you do for a living? Because I'm fascinated by your enlightenment. I really am.
I don't come from that world. I build custom homes. Hardly an enlightened endeavor.
No, but I mean, listen, it's very impressive, is my point. Some of the steps to take on the roads this season, let's get back to that. If you're hosting a party, if you're going to a party, as many of us are over the next couple of days, what advice do you have? What advice does Matt have to try to keep getting this message across to people not to make these mistakes?
Yeah, if you're hosting a party, take responsibility. Take an active role in making sure people get home safely. So if they seem like they've drank too much, make arrangements, ride share, get them a sober driver, or let them spend the night. And if you're a guest, the same rule goes if you're going to go out and celebrate. Make arrangements before you go. Before you go out, ride share or public transportation. Excuse me. The risk is too high, and the danger is too great for innocent people such as myself and the driver and their passengers and
we've never lived in a time where there are more options for you to make the right decision. It's just a matter of preparing before you go.
That's right.
And knowing that, hey, if I have 1 or 2 or 3, you can enjoy, but call an Uber. Do something.
Yes.
Don't get behind that wheel.
Right. And the problem is we have someone who is 2 or 3 drinks in making this life or death decision, and it makes no sense.
Because then think about the people on that. Those are our husbands, our wives, our daughters, our sons, our family members, all those other cars on the road.
That's right.
Are those people.
Yeah.
How can people get involved with MAD if they wanted to?
The best way to do it is to reach out to your local or your nearest chapter. There's so many opportunities for, there's awareness events, there's fundraisers, there's advocacy work to strengthen some of the impaired driving laws. And then there's opportunities for just outreach, to your community or your network.
Bruce, we thank you for coming in and sharing your story and for the great work you're doing with Mothers Against Drunk Driving. The work seems to never be done, but that's why we're here.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Happy holidays.